Hey everybody, how you doing? And welcome to Divorcing Your Entities, or what I like to call DYE, not DYI, DYA. Do you get the joke? Oh, anyway. One of the things with relationships and entities is there are a lot of the same stuff goes on in relationship we have with embodied people as we do with disembodied people. I know that might sound weird, but I think most of the people who will be interested in divorcing their entities are people that can already have some knowing about their capacity to have a relationship with beings that are unseen. So one of the things is that what we often do in relationships here in this reality is we divorce parts and pieces of ourselves, and that creates a limited relationship. Often we're looking at relationships from a maintaining point of view rather than relationships that will actually contribute constructively, and then you'll start to head into creationship. I call those the 3 C's of relationship. Whether you're whether you're in relationship with an entity or with a being with a body, if you have those 3 C's, creativity, contribution, and construction, or constructive, then what you'll start to do is you'll start to create your life. Now, we all know that the elements of creation, there are 4, which are question, choice, possibility, and contribution. So just in relationship alone, that contribution and that creativity, if you have those 2 parts, then you're well on the way to creating relationships that are much more fun and joyful and will expand your reality. Well, you can have the same with entities. Now, the opposite in this reality is that I call it the lap. Yeah, it's most relationships are limiting, abusive, and possessive. And I'm bringing this up because it's very applicable for relationships with entities. How many of us become lapdogs in our relationships? Yeah, they become limiting, they become abusive for you and for the other, and often you are either someone that wants to possess the other person, or they want to possess you. Yeah, not much fun. Now, when it comes to entities, we often talk about possession, and one of the reasons why entities like to possess you so much is because they don't have bodies. And now they're very, very clever. That's the one clever thing about entities. Entities recognize that the power you have is often, well, 99% of it is part of having a body. There is a power to embodiment, and yet we tend to run around in our lives with just our heads, and we forget about that other bottom part. Yeah, it's called a body. Remember the body? Such a cute body. That doesn't get any better than that. And of course, entities want to possess that because then they have power and potency in this reality. Without a body, you can't have the power and potency, which is something else that we'll be talking about more in the relationship and entities class that's coming up on Sunday. So let's get back to the limiting, abusive, and possessive relationships that go on with entities. So we want to divorce ourselves from entities that are like that they want to limit us. They are abusive because they abuse our being, and they try to use thoughts and feelings in order to control you. And then there's also the possession, where they try to take over your body and do things so that they have the power and potency. What we do as humanoids is whenever we go into relationship, we go into divorcing ourselves. Now, the reason I can talk about this is because I am a master at all of the above. Yeah? I'm a master at limiting myself in relationship. I'm a master at being abusive in relationship and receiving abuse in relationship. And I'm also a master about being possession and being possessed by entities. So how do we divorce ourselves from those entities that are want to create a limited, abusive and possessive reality? It's the same as we do with people in this reality. We have to step into our power and potency. Oh, I knew I'd get there. Woohoo! What I call this is stepping into our being the dominant entity or the dominant energy within the relationship. Now, it's not having power over the entities. It's not having power over people. It's about empowering yourself to draw the line. Now, we often hear people calling you've got to draw the line in the sand. And so much of our time is spent trying to look for that line. So true for me, even though I've been choosing not to be aware of it. Yeah. And that's the thing is, that is part of the abusive relationship. Thank you, Jennifer. That is part of the relationships that we have with entities, is we abuse ourselves by cutting off our awareness, divorcing ourselves from our awareness, because in relationships, basically we function from this Hollywood fantasy point of view that we're going to meet somebody or we're going to meet an entity and everything is going to be okay. But it doesn't work that way. Relationships should be something that you add to your life, whether it's with an entity or a disembodied being, that will actually create your life, contribute to your life. Oh, those 3 C's in a constructive way. Yeah. So the divorcing part of it is that we often divorce ourselves, and hence we cut off our power and potency. And when we actually step into it, and we draw that line in the sand, we won't be going into abusive relationships. As I was saying before, often we try to find that line in the sand rather than just know that it's there. We know it's there. We don't have to go looking for it. We don't have to go, this is my line. You don't step over my line. You know, maybe sometimes the line can move or shift at different times, depending on what it is that you would like to create. So just know that your line is there. Trust that you know when it becomes abusive, that you can step into your power and potency and say and be that energy of, that's enough. I'm not having that as my reality any longer. And by being the dominant entity, you start to become that more and more, and you can have constructive, creative, contributive relationships with entities that will, well, you can have those 3 C's. If you like those 3 C's and you've enjoyed watching this today, and we haven't had many questions, you can ask a question if you want. If you would like to have those, then why not come along to the Talk to the Entities Relationship and Entities class? It's worldwide, so you can be in your pajamas if you want. I don't mind. It's on Zoom, and it's on the 31st/1st of April, depending on where you are in the world. And it's an intense class. I can guarantee it won't be boring. That is one thing that I can guarantee. Why not come along, or not come along? Actually, don't come along. Why don't you stick with your limited, abusive, possessive relationships? So much more fun, so much more creative. Or does it actually destroy your life and your body? Okay, so just before we finish up, have we got any other questions or hello that you'd like to ask, and see if we can create a different reality with entities and relationships right here in this 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, we're going to go 1, if I don't get a question, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the call, or hear you on the call, or whatever. Bye.